afternoon, good evening. I don't know why I said afternoon. It's 10:15. Gabe DeArmond here live with you in the Memorial Stadium press box overlooking Faurot Field after a 38-0 Missouri win over the Buffalo Bulls. Mizzou 2-0. They'll face Boston College next week. There you see it. Want to remind you of two things before we get going. First of all, speakpipe.com/powermizzou. You click that link, you go on there, you leave us a voicemail. We've already got quite a few downloaded. We're going to play them throughout the show. Sham is in charge of things behind the scenes, producing the show. He's going to get your voicemails on the show, so we want to hear from you. Go there, leave us a voicemail, tell us what you think. Just as importantly, because nothing's more important than you guys in hearing what you think, but just as importantly, we're brought to you every single week after the game by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. You can check them out at yuengling.com. Better yet, just go to a store, buy yourself some Yuengling. Had a guy tweet at me today, hey, had never tried Yuengling. Got it because they sponsor your guys' podcast. Like it way more than I thought I was going to like it. So you guys go check them out. Get a Yuengling. Hopefully you're opening one. Having one now, enjoying the 2-0 Missouri Tigers as we get this show started. And with that, we bring Jarod Hamilton onto your screen. He is in the room next to me. Gave Jarod an extra minute and 31 seconds to finish off his free media postgame pizza. So, Jarod, hope you got that taken care of, man. Just start the same way we always start. Just kind of general overall impressions. What'd you think?
Defense is dominant. I mean, all offseason, the talk was about, Brady Cook, Luther Burden, the 8 returning starters, the transfer portal additions, which have been doing well. The offense put up 38. They put up 51 last week. But the defense, I mean, back-to-back shutouts, they just been locking it down. We see the stats for Corey Flagg. That's the second consecutive week that off the bench, he's leading the team in tackles. I mean, I was talking to you some point during the game as far as just saying, like, the cornerbacks, I have to keep looking at Drayden Norwood to see if he's on the field because nothing's going to the cornerbacks. Obviously, these are not the most high-powered offenses the last couple of weeks, but still, I mean, we've been seeing upsets and near upsets all day, so it'd be easy to say that, but they have to do their job, and they've been doing it.
Yeah, look, again, they are not playing, the greatest show on turf or anything. But tonight, I think his name's CJ Ogbonna. That could be wrong, but I think that's Buffalo's quarterback's name. He was 6 of 20 for 55 yards. That's the most productive quarterback Missouri's played so far this season. I mean, those numbers are – look, I don't care, and this number has been worn out. We've posted on the board. We've tweeted it. You're going to write about it. I don't care. We're going to say it over and over. The last time Missouri started a season with consecutive shutouts was 1935, which was 89 years ago. The opponents were William Jewell and Central Missouri State University. So I don't care who you're playing. This is something that hasn't been done in a long time, and I'm going to write about it a little bit. Not only have they done it, but they've done it with a new defensive coordinator and a whole bunch of new players. Like that's not easy to just pop in and get that done.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're balling it everywhere. They got depth everywhere. Sorry, laughing at the comments. Freeway Jared, appreciate the super chat. He says 2-0 defense has hoop earring Jarod swag, hashtag MIZ. I'm dead. But yeah, defense, the depth, they move fast. It's like everybody on this team is fast and nothing, nothing just gets behind them. You were saying, like, it's not like this team is forcing a ton of takeaways. I mean, they do have 3 in 2 weeks, but it's not like it's just like a turnover machine, which you kind of expect versus teams like this. They're just keeping everything in front of them. So they're forcing tackles for loss. They're getting sacks. I asked Drink about Joe Moore. He had 3 quarterback hits and a pass deflection. Like, it's even the little things that may not necessarily show up in the box score that they're doing.
Yeah, Sham, if you can pop up that comment from SC Bryant again real fast. Just want to say thanks. Never ask for super chats. Always appreciate them, guys. We appreciate you guys being here with us while you're here. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all that. We're up to 230 people, which is pretty good for a Saturday night at 10:20. Expect that number to grow throughout the show. But shout out to all you guys for hanging out here with us after games. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I do know how you can complain after these 2 games. There are little things, right? Like, they're not getting big plays yet in the passing game. There are a few too many penalties. But look, this is the gist of what I'm going to write after the game. I look around. Notre Dame's losing to Northern Illinois. Oklahoma's lucky to survive by the skin of their teeth against Houston. Florida State's season's already over. Like, there are teams who started this year in the same position at Missouri as Missouri did. Missouri has won 2 games by a combined 89-0. And it's never been more important to say, with the video game out again, this is not a video game. You can't just line up and it's all perfect. Every play isn't going to work on offense. Every player's not going to be their best. And I thought Eli Drinkwitz brought up the best point. This is week 2. If we were playing as well as we're ever going to play right now, I would actually be pretty disappointed. Like, they've got time. And I mean, they have taken care of business and done exactly what they should do through 2 weeks. And yes, they're going to need to get better to go 10-2, 11-1, 12-0, but they've got time to get better.
I mean, was it 51 plus 38? So it's 89. So it's 44.5 points per game through 2 games and 0 points on defense. I mean, you can, it would be nitpicking to try to find something was wrong. I mean, Brady Cook, that's because I know a lot of people are going to say that's the first one they're going to. Not having perfect games, not having crazy numbers, but he's doing well. I think he had a pretty good game. There was a couple throws that got away from him and stuff like that, but I think he did well. And obviously he used his legs a lot more than he did last week with that 31-yard touchdown run. He had another he had 2 touchdown runs, did he not?
He had 2 touchdowns run, yeah.
So 2 touchdown runs. So, like, I mean, I think he's playing well, and they're going to start connecting on things a little bit more. He even said, though, they kind of wanted those deep shots to come open more. But Buffalo also, they reviewed film and they knew what was coming. They knew they was gonna get hit deep.
Well, and we started saying, like, we're looking out there in the second quarter going, the Buffalo DBs are lined up 12 yards off the line of scrimmage. If you just want people to see a deep pass, then sure, go throw the deep pass. But you know what's going to work against a defense like that? Have Theo Weiss go out 8 yards, turn around and hit him, get up 5 yards after the catch, and you got another first down. Like, if that's what they give you, fine. You don't, like, I think it's right. It's not fair to say the passing game's off. The passing game has not been explosive, but it's not off. Like, the completion percentage is high. The yards per attempt is decent. Just because they haven't had many 30, 40, 50-yard passes, like, hey, I don't care if they're lining up 12 yards off and they're giving you a first down every time you throw the football. Just do that.
Yeah, and I think the playbook has opened. I said it earlier in the game. They're not getting the deep shots and stuff, so it may not look like it's opening. But all this stuff, like Luther asked the question, he's doing jet sweeps, he's doing reverses, he's lining up in the backfield, he's doing all types of stuff in addition to what he's doing. They also got Mookie Cooper.
All right, brace yourself, Jarod. I'm gonna supersede and put up a comment here, and you're gonna laugh at this one. So,
Gabe rocking the Kirk Cousins collection from Kohl's. Oh, they trying to do you dirty, man. But
that's all right. Hey, you know what? I love Kirk Cousins after watching quarterback. I wear that with pride. Go ahead.
Well, Kirk Cousins he's made plenty of money. So I mean, I think he's doing well for himself. But yeah, I think the offense.
You want me to wear nicer clothes? Give more super chats. I'll be able to shop somewhere other than Kohl's. Go ahead.
The offense, I think they've opened up the playbook. They're trying to see what works. That's what to me is clear. Some of these drives, like, I wouldn't say struggle, but they got off kind of to a slow start that first quarter. Yeah, because I think they scored pretty early in the second quarter and they got rolling from there. But yeah, that first quarter they was kind of slow, and it's because they were trying different things. It seemed like things we haven't really seen before. So, I mean, yeah, they're not going to score 55 or I guess 51 plus every game and put up 700 yards, but I think this offense is way better than it was at this time a year ago, for sure.
And one reason I think that I'll get to in a minute, but Colby's comment that's on the screen right now. Luther's winning the Heisman with 20 receptions this season. Look, I actually think that's a positive. Luther hasn't done that much, right? He had 4 touches for like 52 yards last week. Tonight, he basically played, a quarter and a half? And then he went to the locker room sick. And he didn't play the rest of the game. And in the post game, I asked Theo Weiss, and I actually meant this as a compliment, but I don't think Theo took it that way. I said, what's it say about your team that, like, Luther hasn't really gotten going the way you think he's going to? And, you're still putting up all these numbers. You're scoring 45 a game, all that. And Theo says, Theo says, well, I don't know if you guys know this, but we aren't just one guy. We got a lot of guys that can get going. Theo tonight, 13 catches. There you see it on the screen, 149 yards. 4 of them went for first downs. Those 13 catches tied for the 6th most in a game in Mizzou history. Justin Gage had a game with 16. A couple guys had games with 15. Jeremy Macklin had 14 in one game. I think Denario might have had 14 in one game. So, but the 6th most productive night as far as receptions. And look, I get it. People want the big plays, right? But I don't think this passing game has been bad. It just hasn't been like all at once. And that's fine.
Yeah, I think also because what Buffalo was doing, being okay with Missouri taking the underneath stuff, Missouri didn't really have a chance to throw the ball like they did last week, deep. So basically what everybody has in their mind is, well, last week, Brady missed about 4 passes that could have went for deep touchdowns. And then this week, they didn't really do it too much. And the thing is because they couldn't. And so the smart thing and a lot of things that were going in the press conference was Brady Cook being mature enough to take what's underneath, And like you said earlier, it's not a video game. Because for people who've played video games, when you're playing an inferior opponent, you start trying things. You start trying to throw it deep, do 4 verticals, all types of stuff because you don't respect the opponent. But sometimes that can get you in trouble. And this is real life. All these other teams are losing games and on upset alert. They can't afford to be getting silly out here and having stupid turnovers all the time because it's an inferior opponent. They got to take what's underneath and take what the defense gives them.
Also, just let me read you these numbers. 41 carries, 255 yards, 6.2 a carry, and 5 touchdowns. That's Missouri's rushing numbers. This offense is fine.
Great.
I thought this coming into the season, and again, I understand the opposition. Missouri lost Cody Schrader, and I think they've got a better running game this year. Is that stupid? Is that nuts?
No. Again, it didn't. I feel like I asked this question maybe a few weeks ago before the season started. Would you rather have, one all-purpose back like Cody Schrader who gets you 1,600 yards, or would you like a running back by committee? And I feel like it's just depends on your cup of tea. But like something I'm noticing here is not only can the running backs obviously run the ball and make the moves in the open space and be physical, they can catch the ball. But we seen with Nate Noel on that 31-yard touchdown run by Brady Cook, these guys can block. And it's not just pass protection, but anywhere. You see Nate Noel, I don't know, he had somebody who looked much bigger than him, and he's guarding him off as Brady makes the last 10-yard run to the end zone. That is something Drink has been saying, his whole time here. Like, to be on the field, you have to show that you can block, and you're willing to do that. And so the fact that Noel and Carroll can run and catch and block, and you've got other guys they're putting in the game too. The running back room is better than it was a year ago. I don't know if one player is better than Schrader, but as a whole.
And you see the stats were up there. Noel 12 for 73, Carroll 12 for 62. Jamal Roberts gets in the end zone again. Kawan Lacey 6 carries for 27. Like I think he might be the best pure running back. He better start holding on to the football if he wants to play in games that matter. But and again, they're adding Brady Cook to that ground game. I had a friend text me during the game that 31-yard touchdown run is the coolest play of Brady's career at Missouri. And it was, for those that didn't hear the post game, it was supposed to be a throwback screen to Tyler Stevens. Tyler Stevens got caught up in the wash, didn't get out on his route, and Brady said, so I basically just went out and replaced him and went where he was supposed to go. And then he takes off and high steps and gets into the end zone. And we'll get back to that in a minute. But Tyler with the super chat, Batoon hasn't had to drop many exotic blitzes like Baker did. Just getting pressure with the front four will be interesting against better teams. That's the thing. This defense is doing what it's doing. And Tyler, appreciate the super chat and the comment, man. Thanks for that. This defense is just, like you said at the beginning, and like I wrote right after the game, they're just solid. Like, they're not bringing crazy pressure from everywhere. I look out and I don't know if this defense necessarily has a standout. Like, I don't know if there's a first-round pick. I don't know if there's an all-SEC player. But the longest play they've given up this year was 18 yards, and that was a quarterback run in the fourth quarter of a 38-0 game. Haven't given up a 20-yard play yet. They're giving up something like it's less than 3 yards per snap, I think. I mean, they've been solid. And again, with all those new faces and all those new guys, and Brady alluded to it in the postgame, and he wasn't taking a shot, because I think the same thing. He said all offseason you read in the media and you hear the questions, well, how's the defense going to be? I think they're fine.
Yeah, I 3.3 yards per play today, 1.7 last week. So what's that? That's what, 2.5 yards per play.
Something like that. Yeah,
2.5 yards per play over 2 weeks. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, and I've only seen a couple times of them actually blitzing. So yeah, that front four, they're doing enough work. And again, it's just about having fresh bodies, having enough guys who you can trust out on the field to do their job. And so, yeah, the fact that you're seeing your fifth string defensive end, I'm talking about Joe Moore, not fifth string, but fifth
number 5 defensive end.
Yeah, the fact that he's making those plays and wreaking havoc and stuff like that, and you got everybody chipping in. You see Chris McClellan like early play in the game, blowing something up, like that's good. And then you can add in that next rotation. I mean, they've got everything cooking at every level of the defense. So, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start.
We've written about it, and Drink said it tonight. And he said, when you can just keep putting guys in waves and keep everybody fresh, like Missouri, nobody's tired, because in the fourth quarter, nobody's played more than 25 snaps. And you know when that matters a lot more than it matters tonight? Week 8 in Tuscaloosa. Week 9 against Oklahoma. Because you're going to have dudes on this defense that by week 8 and 9 have played like, I don't know, 300 snaps as opposed to 500 snaps. Like, that is a huge difference. I saw somebody bring up the penalties, and the penalties are a concern. And I liked, like, Drink can't help himself. Once every press conference, he's got to slide into smartass mode. And somebody asked him if there was a common denominator among all the holding penalties. And he said, yeah, the common denominator is that we were the only team called for holding tonight. And then he said, well, I got to go back and look at the film. But, yeah, I get it. Again, I think it is the nature of fans to try to find things that, hey, if we keep doing this, it's going to be a problem. And I agree. If they play this way against Alabama, there's a chance they lose to Alabama. That game is 6-7 weeks away. Like, they are going to improve. They've got lots of time. They have come out and taken care of business. And I don't know. I don't see a ton of value in worrying too much about things in games they've won 89-0.
Exactly. I mean, I think about it like this. You could be Notre Dame. You could be Florida State. You've got things you can't come back from. And if your worst is, yeah, we beat Buffalo 38-0 instead of 68-0, or we beat Murray State 50, like, you don't have nothing yet that where someone can say, oh, that's a big glaring hole, you need to fix this. And I mean, obviously these first few weeks, or these next couple of weeks versus, BC and Vandy and A&M after that, they'll learn a little bit more about themselves, where some of these faults they have come to light and they actually mean something. Right now, so many of them don't mean as much right now, especially when you're winning again 89-0.
Right. John just said could be worse, could be Oregon. I just looked it up. Oregon's trailing Boise State 10-7 with 11 minutes left in the second quarter, a week after beating Idaho 24-10. So we said we were going to do this. We're going to look up the AP rankings. So Missouri is 9th. Right now, coming in today, Missouri was 9th. Georgia beat the hell out of Tennessee Tech. They're going to stay number 1. Ohio State beat the hell out of Western Michigan. They probably stay 2. Texas beat the hell out of Michigan. They'll stay 3. Alabama struggled for a while, but is up 42-16 on USF. They should stay 4. You got Notre Dame at 5. You got Ole Miss at 6, which won easy. You got Oregon at 7, which is currently kind of struggling for a second straight week. And then you got Penn State at 8, which trailed Connor Bazelak and Bowling Green for about 50 minutes today before winning that game. So Notre Dame, Oregon, Penn State are 5, 7, and 8. Let's go ahead and assume that Oregon wins tonight, but it's not super impressive. Like, they beat Boise, but it's close. How many of those teams does Missouri jump next on Monday or on Sunday in the polls?
I
mean, we know they're jumping Notre Dame.
So basically, are they jumping Oregon and Penn State?
Oregon and Penn State, yeah.
I think they should jump at least Penn State.
I think they will, yeah.
The Oregon, depending on can you give me like a win total for them? Like, what's the score of that game per se?
Well, somebody just said in the comments it's 17-14 Boise about to score again. So let's say that Oregon comes back and wins 35-31.
Well, people are going to say Boise's supposed to be the best.
I think Boise's a good team. Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be the best G5 team, or at least among one of them. So, I think they'll definitely jump Penn State. Maybe not quite Oregon, just because Oregon's one of those programs where the hype I feel like hype can get you somewhere, and if you can make enough excuses, and I'm not saying Oregon's not good, but last week was weak or was weird, and then this week it was a good Boise State team. You can talk your way into, well, they should stay above Missouri. So I think definitely above Penn State. Oregon, questionable. If they win, I think they're going to stay above Missouri pretty much.
So, we think we're probably looking at number 7 Missouri tomorrow afternoon when the polls come out. Jump Notre Dame, jump Penn State, which was relatively uninspiring in a win today.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, right?
You're already top 7 and we're going into week 3. That's cool.
Keep winning, you host a playoff game.
And if everybody keeps losing, you're getting a lot of ground by doing nothing. There was a lot of ground made up for Missouri before they even kicked off today. So,
yeah, and again, it is. Again, I don't want to pretend that Missouri has played anybody. Like we said at the beginning of this season, the first 2 weeks, there's no way they're losing, right? But there's no way anybody woke up in South Bend today thinking they could lose. And so Missouri has, by the way, Eli Drinkwitz making some friends out there, also making some enemies, because this is 2 consecutive weeks. He has scored in the last minute to, let's just say, change the fortunes of some people in America, right?
He definitely playing them overs. Playing them overs.
They've wanted, not the overs, just bet Mizzou to cover. They've covered weeks, and so, again, they have done what they were supposed to do. And I do think that this team deserves a little bit of credit for, okay, look, you're better than them. They know you're better than them. Everybody in the country knows you're better than them. But they've still come out, and these games have been 59-0 at halftime. They deserve a little – they don't deserve credit in the point that, oh, wow, they're way better than these teams. Everybody knew that. But they deserve credit in not letting down and in playing to a standard of, this is our standard, not just play well enough to beat whoever's on the other sideline.
And to that point, I remember my first year in 2022, a problem they had was playing up or down to their competition on a weekly basis. You think about that Auburn game, of course, where they lost and they kind of played down a little bit to Auburn, and it was just a punt fest for most of it, and they blow that game. And then the next week versus Georgia, they're playing up, to Georgia's standard. They almost come back and win that game. And then, again, another issue with Florida playing, just middle of the package, and it wasn't really working. And now you go to this season, and, yeah, they should be dominating. They shouldn't be scraping by like the, I'm always saying the MTSU game last year. You should still be able to try new things or have things go on and win comfortably. You shouldn't be scraping and clawing versus an FCS team and a team that is at the bottom of the FBS pretty much.
Right. And that brings up, again, they've done what they should do. And that's, look, style points is fun to talk about. Ultimately, style points are not going to matter if you just go take care of business. This team is going to be favored. Look, Texas A&M looked like absolute garbage, scored 13 points against a Notre Dame team that just gave up 17 to Northern Illinois, right? Auburn, not the greatest day, right? South Carolina, maybe a little better than you think. BC, Vandy, maybe a little better. But the point is, Missouri is going to be favored, I think, as of today. I think Missouri will be favored in 11 games. You disagree?
No. Only the Bama one is the one, especially because it's on the road. And I mean, what would you think that spread would be for that game if you had to think?
The Bama game? I think before the season, it was something like Bama by 9. Might be a little. I'd bet it'd be Bama by 7.5. I bet you get the hook.
Well, usually, wait, 9?
Before the season, I think they had said, I think the line would have been 9. So I think it'd still be in that 7, 8, 9 range.
Okay, I was saying around 7. So around 7-ish.
Yeah. But no, and I think Magic Man's post that's up there is facetious. Drink has to take his conservative hands off the offense and let the O coordinator call the plays. If it's not facetious, whatever. But it kind of goes back to what somebody was saying in the previous comments. And I said coming into this year, I'm not going to overreact to anything I see in the first 2 weeks, because look at where this team was after week 2 last year. How do you feel after 2 weeks this year? You just mentioned the Middle Tennessee game. How do you feel after 2 weeks this year compared to 2 weeks last year?
I feel like this team is continuing the momentum from their second half of the season run. Like that it feels like a team that didn't really have a full off season. It doesn't seem like they've had this big old break and they've swapped out some of these players. It's a team that keeps going and is keeping that momentum up through the off season. So I mean, it's definitely night and day compared to, this time last year. But I think they've just been rolling.
And the crazy thing is, they're doing that with, as Brady Cook said tonight, 40 new players. Like, this is as big a credit as I can give to Eli Drinkwitz. I think he has this program at a point where it's his program and his standard, and yes, the faces are going to change, and yes, the transfer portal is a bigger factor, and the turnover is going to be more than it was a few years ago. But like you said, this just seems like the 2023 team has started the 2024 season, and they had 8 months off, but they just kind of go again. That's what a good program is. It's, hey, this is what we do. And yeah, maybe we got 5 different defensive tackles and 2 different running backs and this and that, but this is what we do. And again, we'll be more confident saying this if Missouri wins the next 2 games by 89 points than maybe we are right now. But like, they have the look of a team that kind of has reached that point where, hey, this is our standard. This is how we play. And yeah, it depends a little bit on the team on the other sideline, because when you play Alabama, it's a lot harder than when you play Murray State, right? But, I think they've done a good job through 2 weeks of playing their game and not worrying about the other team.
I agree.
And yeah, Jason says Mizzou hasn't been scored on since the first quarter of the Cotton Bowl. What did we decide, Jarod? First longest scoreless streak since 1941, I think is what we were told. Is that right?
Well, Drink said
12. I'm sorry, longest. Yeah, longest. They've gone 11 quarters without a point, 12 quarters without a touchdown.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, and the last time they did 9 straight scoreless was 1959. The record is 16 and 41 in 1941.
Yeah.
And then the shutouts thing, consecutive shutouts for the first time since 1935. So,
I mean, and look, I don't know, but I remember that 1935 William Jewell team. That team had some ballers, man. They were tough. Wow. Shutting out that team was impressive.
Well, Gabe, tell us how you look so youthful. What's this, 89 years? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I didn't cover that game, but my dad might have. No. No, but look, we try to keep Jarod on here for about half an hour. He's got a ton of stuff to write. I've got a little bit to write, but he's got more work to do than I do. So we're going to try to get him out of these shows at right around the 30-minute mark, and then I'm going to hang out with you guys for a while. So Jarod, we're about to hit 400 people. Anything you want to say to the folks before you go? I tell you what, before you go, just why don't you tell the Eddie Kelly tidbit for anybody that missed it, because it's going to be in your story. But like, I think that was a pretty interesting thing that came up tonight.
Yeah, so I mean, just talking about the defensive line, and I had asked about Joe Moore again, who was stepping up, and Drake was mentioning how Joe Moore stepped up and stuff, but he said, I want to basically shout out Eddie Kelly. They gave him the game ball earlier this week, right after one of the practices. Eddie Kelly's mother passed unexpectedly, and he still decided to come out and play. He had a couple tackles himself, but just being here in any capacity, just a few days after losing his mother. And so I think it was Marvin Burks who said, they kind of, this week was heavy for them, and they were playing for him and his family, and they wanted to ball out for him. And I mean, the best, if you want to ball out for your teammate and for his family and stuff like that, I mean, pitching a shutout again, I mean, that's a cool way to, do that and try to keep his spirits as high as he can. So that was what Drink ended his presser on.
Yeah, and Drink said like Eddie's mom was at the game last weekend.
Yeah. So again,
and like I'm not trying to get philosophical on a show at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, but hey, pretty cool that you got to see him play here, right? Last week, obviously awful that what happened. But yeah, I thought that was something that we definitely should point out. So, all right, Jarod, you got a ton of stuff to do, man. It's 11 o'clock. Last week we got out of here, I think about 1:15. Earlier or later this week?
I'm trying to shoot for the same time, depending on what I got. Sometimes what the problem is with writing is you have so much to write that it's hard to decipher what you want to write, and also going over the script, the otter, what we record on, and making sure the words line up to what they're saying and stuff. So that is kind of what the extra time is. So I'm hoping for around 1:15 again.
Yeah, I'll shoot for that. I'm actually writing a column this week, which I didn't do last week, so we'll see. But appreciate you, man. I'll get to work. We'll talk to you later, and I'll hang out and be with the people.
All right, see y'all.
All right, Jarod Hamilton joining us, and like I said, he's got a full notebook coming. He's gonna have the great card at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. A lot of stuff for you guys. But hey, I'm gonna be here with you for a little bit. We got some post game videos to upload. I got a column to write, but I'm gonna hang out with you guys for a little bit. Sham has been taking care of some voicemails. So real quick, two things before we get to those voicemails. First of all, if you still want to leave us one, just speakpipe.com/powermizzou. Just click the link. It's seriously the easiest thing ever. You click the link, you start talking. There it goes. We have two rules. Keep it under 2 minutes. Try not to swear. I didn't say don't swear. I just said try not to swear. So those are our two rules. Speakpipe.com/powermizzou. You want to leave us a voicemail. Want to remind you also here, we're brought to you after every single game this year. Minimum of 12. Who knows? Maybe as many as 16. But we're brought to you every week by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. You can check them out at yuengling.com, but it's way easier. Just go to a grocery store, a liquor store, a gas station, whatever. They're in the state of Missouri. They're in a lot of states. But we're based in the state of Missouri, and I know they're in the state of Missouri. You got the lager, you got the flight. Been told Black and Tan is going to be out soon. Might have some more products coming to the Show Me State here in the next calendar year. So, go get yourself a Yuengling. I trust that a lot of you guys have one. I do not allowed in the press box. I will get one eventually, but do not have one right now. But pick one up, join us, leave us a voicemail. Voicemails are going to be way better after some Yuenglings. So, all right, Sham, hit me. Let's go to some voicemails. Play me something, and we'll hear what the people are saying.
Hey, Gabe, this is Big Steve over in Gladstone, your future timeshare co-owner. Hey, I'm going to try to keep this thing under 30 seconds, a lot like my lovemaking sessions with my wife, but I got a couple things to say. First off, how about them Chiefs? And then second of all, man, I think Theo Weiss coming back was just a huge thing that we overlooked in the offseason. He is phenomenal. And then finally, that defense is just looking sharp. Thanks, Gabe.
Excellent call, Steve. Big rule, we will put anybody on from Gladstone. That's my neck of the woods. I grew up just a few minutes away from Gladstone, so love it. Steve, I can't comment on your lovemaking skills. I am a little disappointed that you went on to make actual coherent points after the start of that voicemail. Thought maybe we're going to go way downhill really quick, but no, Theo coming back's interesting because, I talked to some draft people and he was like a fringe draft guy. Like might have gotten picked, but probably was going to be like 5th, 6th, 7th round. Could have gone. Theo Weiss is the poster child for what NIL can do for a college football team. I don't know what Theo's making this year. He's getting paid. He's getting paid relatively well. More than he would have probably been guaranteed to get paid in the NFL, because I'm not sure Theo was guaranteed to make an NFL roster last year. So NIL allows this kid to come back, put some money in his pocket, play another year of college football, go out, have 13 catches for 149 yards in a week 2 win, and be, kind of build that draft stock. Like maybe next April he goes higher than he would have gone last April. So excellent point on Theo. Good call, Steve. Appreciate you. Sean, let's go to another.
Hey, Gabe. Just 3 quick thoughts on the offense. I want to see more Marcus Carroll and less Nate Noel. Nate Noel, for 2 weeks now, can't seem to stay on his feet. I don't really know what's going on there, and I think he has a role, but it really didn't seem like they got Marcus Carroll involved much. 2 is I think it's time we see more Josh Manning and less Mookie Cooper. I like Mookie Cooper, but he's been here for 4 years, and he really just doesn't provide much. And then 3 is Drew Pine's a better quarterback than Brady Cook. That's just all there is to it.
All right, so let's take those one by one. Appreciate the call. So it's interesting. I actually had the same thought on Marcus Carroll. I'm like, I didn't really see much of him. And here's why, I think. Because Nate Noel was in the game the first 2 or 3 drives. I'll be honest, that game was like, it was 17-0 mid-second quarter. And at that point, you knew Buffalo wasn't winning. So I'll be honest, I'm doing 100 things. I'm starting to get some stuff ready for our post-game coverage and all that. And so my attention is a little bit divided when the game's over. Nate Noel into the game with 12 carries for 73 yards. Marcus Carroll into the game with 12 carries for 62 yards. I agree with the initial impression that it seemed like Nate Noel was out there way more. But I don't know what the snap counts will say. I'll check those out in the morning. The carries were exactly the same. Nate Noel, I think, had maybe more receptions. I'm going to check that. Let's see. Nate Noel had 4 catches, by the way, for -3 yards. Carroll had 1 for -1 yard. So Missouri's running backs combined to catch 5 passes for -4 yards tonight. But it seemed like Noel was more involved, but I think that's just because he was out there earlier. But productivity, I mean, look, Carroll averaged 5 yards a carry, Noel averaged 6. I like them both. Like we were talking about earlier, I think the running back room is better than it was last year. They're not going to have one guy put up the numbers Cody put up, but I think the room is quite clearly better than it was a year ago. Mookie Cooper versus Josh Manning. Look, I'm not going to disagree. I like Mookie. He's a great kid. It's the productivity really hasn't been there. Whether it's Marquise Johnson, whether it's Mekhi Miller, whether it's Josh Manning, there seem to be guys that just make more plays. But that said, there's a locker room to deal with. There's a lot of things in a football game we don't see, right? Blocking. I'm not going to say. There's a reason that Jacob Peeler and Eli Drinkwitz are making the decisions they are and playing the guys they are. So I agree with you that on the surface, I think Josh Manning offers more upside, but I'm sure they have their reasons. Drew Pine better than Brady Cook. I don't know. I don't know. Drew Pine has not been in a pressure situation at all. Brady Cook's this team's starting quarterback, and he's this team's starting quarterback for every snap he's healthy enough to be. So it's an argument that I don't know. I think it's kind of pointless to have. I'm not sure there's any need to do it because it doesn't matter. Brady Cook is starting unless he's too hurt to start. All right, let's hit one more voicemail, Sean, and then maybe we'll go to some of the comments in the chat.
Okay, guys, honestly, we know this Missouri offense has a lot of weapons. Does it almost seem at times like it has too many weapons? Like there's this need to, get the ball to as many players as possible. You've got Manning. I mean, you've got Cooper, you've got Weiss, you've got Burden, who's not playing a lot of the first two games, and his stats are kind of low, even though he has 2 touchdowns. Then you're trying to run the ball with these 2 running backs and also acclimate 2 younger running backs into the game. Is it almost like there's a difficulty for the offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore, here of just having too many weapons at his disposal? Okay, guys, honestly, we know this Missouri offense has a lot of weapons. Does it almost
Okay,
seem at times like it
Clint,
has too many
let's
weapons?
stop on that, Sean. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I've heard that Sam McDowell's brought this up about the Chiefs, right? Like they're carrying too many wide receivers because if Andy Reid has a guy on the roster, he's going to try to figure out how to use him. I don't see that with this offense. I mean, Theo Weiss had 13 catches tonight. Luther got a handful of touches, didn't play very long, but Theo Weiss got 13 catches. Marquise Johnson got 5. The top 2 running backs each had 12 carries. Brady Cook ran the ball. Let me look it up. Ran the ball 5 times. Seemed like more, but ran the ball 5 times. I think the distribution's fine. And look, in the transfer portal era, like I think it's pretty amazing Josh Manning's still here, to be honest. He came back after last year as, the 7th receiver, but he's worked his way up. Like, look, is there a chance Jamal Roberts or Daniel Blood or Kewan Lacey or somebody at the end of this year says, man, I didn't get enough touches. I wanted to look somewhere. Yes, there's a chance of that because that's college football. But no, I no issues with the distribution of the football. And if you tell a coach like your biggest problem is going to be you have too many guys to try to get the ball to, I think most coaches are going to be real happy with that team. So I think the best thing is like, look, when Luther is healthy and they start playing better teams, he's going to get the ball more. I made a comment to Jarod during the game. I found it interesting. In the first 2 weeks, it seems like every touch Luther has gotten has been within a yard of the line of scrimmage. I want a little bit more diversity in the way they use him. I want to see him be an actual wide receiver, not just hey, we're going to hand you the ball off and throw you screens. I want to see him down the field, but it's early. These teams aren't great. You're doing different things. I get it. I'm not going to judge yet. I just would like to see them use him more as a complete receiver, which I think he proved to be last year. Theo is incredibly reliable. There was one throw tonight that I thought he should have caught that he didn't. But other than that, I mean, the dude catches almost everything. Mekhi Miller, the same. Marquise Johnson, best thing I saw tonight was Marquise Johnson didn't catch a deep ball, but he had 5 catches. Like he went over the middle. He ran an out route. He caught wide receiver passes. It wasn't run as fast as you can, as far as you can. So too many weapons, no such thing, guys. Hey, I watched a Georgia team come in here and play their backup running back who was Nick Chubb, right? There were Alabama teams that had like Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs waiting their turn. No, too many weapons, no such thing in college football. So, Sean, let's turn to some of the comments, man. Just start hitting me with some things. I just pick them out. I don't care what it is. We want to get to the people, and we'll go back to some of the voicemails in a minute. But we've got 370 people on here with us live, so I want to make sure we include those people in the chat and in the conversation. Offense looks good without those holding penalties. Need to get them cleaned up quickly. Brendan says, and seen a few comments on the penalties. You're right. Too many tonight at bad times, no question. Holding penalties, a couple of motion penalties. There were a couple of illegal man down field penalties, had a couple formation penalties, which are the ones that I think are really easy to clean up. Basically, a slot receiver was covered up. So somebody just lined up wrong. You're right, though. Penalties are an issue. Do the O-line penalties concern you at all, or is it just working out the kinks early? It's something to watch, right? It's something to watch. But here's a weird thing about football. Sometimes really good teams are highly penalized. Chiefs have been highly penalized for a lot of years. Alabama, for a while, was one of the most highly penalized teams in the country. You can survive them. One thing that stood out to me, they have 0 defensive penalties. Tyba Knight asking, do you think we have a potential top 25 matchup next week? Yes, absolutely. Boston College was a couple spots out of the top 25 entering this week. They won 56-0. Number 24 lost. That was NC State. Number 23 lost. That was Georgia Tech. Number 21 lost. That was Iowa. Number 19 lost. That was Kansas. So 4 of the bottom 7 teams in the top 25 lost. Boston College is going to move into the rankings. You're going to have a ranked versus ranked matchup next week. And there was a thought at one time tonight that you might have College Game Day in town for it. It's not going to happen. They're going to LSU, South Carolina, which I understand, and I think they might think they have a chance to get to Columbia, Missouri later this year. Everwine Bees, should we be worried about facing Bill O'Brien in a close game next week? Look, next week is a bigger test than this week, no question. Part of what I'm writing tonight is the preseason is over. Missouri played 2 games. There was no way they're going to lose. They've got 2 coming up now that they shouldn't lose, but on the wrong day, they can lose. So that's where I think what we've been talking about, the maturity of this team, the way they handle business, I think that matters because I don't see Missouri looking past Boston College next week or Vandy the week after. This team has done a good job of staying in the moment. Go just play the team across from you. I think Brady Cook said in the postgame press conference tonight, don't waste the opportunity to dominate, right? Now, are they going to win 38-0 against BC? You wouldn't think so. But if I had to guess at that line, I'm going to go Missouri 12.5, something like that. We'll see where it goes. St. Louis asking if Corey Flagg's going to lead the team in tackles. He has 2 weeks in a row. It's an interesting point there. Let's talk linebacker. Jarod and I were talking during the game. Chuck Hicks is a captain on this team. He's a different kind of linebacker. Missouri has 3 really fast, pretty borderline freak athletes at linebacker. I mean, Khalil Jacobs can fly. Tristan Newsom might be the best athlete of all of them. And Corey Flagg just makes plays, man. Chuck Hicks is a little different type of guy, but I could see him yielding snaps throughout the year. There you go, Sean, you and me, same place, man. And T-Rise said Hicks's time is going down. I think I agree. I think he's going to yield to some snaps to the other guys, no question. But again, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about just keeping guys fresh, just putting new guys in, right? Okay, cool. Khalil Jacobs needs a break. We got Tristan Newsom. Chuck Hicks, take a series off. We got Corey Flagg. Like, there's not a big drop off there, you know. Sean, let's go back to the voicemail line, man. I know you got a few left, so hit me up with another one.
Gabe, Nitro. I wish you were still taking my calls live. I miss our back and forth, man. Defense great, not perfect, but it did need to be. Those guys are dudes. They're awesome. Offense is not much. When we struggled in the first quarter, it showed. But the run game is our meat and potatoes. And 8 and 9, they are dudes. Drink's got to realize that, like, if we get into trouble in the future, like, we're in SEC play, and it's a tough game, like, we're going to run the ball with 8 and 9, and we're going to be great. When we struggle offensively, run the ball and get out of trouble. Look, the real that aside, and the real reason I called you was to talk about last week's voicemails. My favorite caller last week was the guy that said Mizzou was going to 20 straight playoffs. I need to drink a beer or 6 with that guy.
All right. I lost the sound. I'm not sure why. Are you guys still hearing this voicemail? Because I am not. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. I need somebody in the comments to let me know if my headphones just quit or if the voicemails are still working. So I think it's possible my headphones quit, which might be a problem. Anyway, okay, good. Nobody's hearing the voicemail, so we're good. First of all, I agree with the commenter that said the voicemails need more alcohol. Totally agree. Look, you guys begged and begged for years, bring back the calls. And like, I appreciate the voicemails we're getting. It's awesome of you guys. But like, we need the energy level up, guys. Voicemail line's got to pick up, right? I get it. It's 11 o'clock Saturday night, crappy opponent, boring game. I get it, but we're gonna need to pick the levels up. Let's get excited. Let's say some stupid things. Missouri's going to 20 straight playoffs. I agree. Caller makes a lot of good points. But your best point was you need a beer. I agree. Let's go. Sean, maybe the next one has some more fun to it.
Yo, Gabe, man, quick thoughts real quick on these two topics. First, what are your thoughts on like the Illinois fans field storming after the Kansas win? And second thing, what are your thoughts on South Carolina getting chosen for game day next week over Mizzou?
Okay. So two things. First of all, a compliment to Kansas that anybody's storming the field after beating you. But also, like, Illinois doesn't beat ranked teams very often. Good for Illinois, man. Big win. What I've got no problem with storming the field. Like, if people say act like you've been there, well, guess what? Illinois haven't been there very much. Go ahead and storm the field. I'm fine. Game day to Columbia, South Carolina. I'll be honest. South Carolina, LSU feels like a bigger game to me than Missouri, Boston College. I know Missouri's ranked 8th. Or 9th, might be 7th tomorrow. Neither SC or LSU is that high. It just feels like there are going to be bigger games in Columbia than this one. Would have been fun to have game day in town, but like, I really think ESPN's going, yeah, we could go there, but what if we want to go there for Mizzou OU later this year? Like, there's going to be, I think they think there's going to be chances. I don't think, they haven't been to Columbia, South Carolina in 10 years either. South Carolina, big win today. LSU coming into town already has a loss on the ledger. I guarantee South Carolina is going to be pretty juiced for that game. I'm fine with it. I don't take issue with it. All right, let's go. Hit another one.
What's up? Lifelong Mizzou fan here. I just want to say that how excited I am for, obviously you've heard this top to bottom, but I've been watching Mizzou football ever since, as long as I can remember. I'm 19 years old. I don't remember the Chase Daniel era, but I went to games in those 2013-14 seasons, and this is really something. It's never been like this, I feel like, in my life. Even when we had the James Franklins and Matty Mox, the St. Louis kids, even Theo Weiss, Brady Cook, Luther Burden, we're putting ourselves on a map across the entire country that I don't think it's never been at a level like this. So, Drinkwitz, obviously, it's just unbelievable how he was on the hot seat just less than 2 years ago, and now he's considered one of the top coaches in the country. It's unbelievable. Just wanted to say you guys are doing a great job. I watched the show, and you guys have great commentary and really give the fans, the diehards, a different perspective of what they want to hear. So, just MIZ.
I appreciate that. I'm going to disagree with you here. It's been like this. Haven't been like this for a while, but it's been like this. I think you said you were 19 and you don't really remember Chase Daniel. I'm telling you, man, 2007 was a magic carpet ride for Missouri fans. 2008, for the first 6 weeks, it was every bit this. This fan base was convinced in 2008 that they were winning the national title. And they had reason to be convinced. Like, the team was good enough to. So it has been like this. It's just been a long time, right? It's like it's like during Dennis Gates' first season, when and like, not to knock this football team or that basketball team, they're fun years. They deserved a lot of the credit, all the credit they got, but it was heightened. It was increased because it had been a while, right? Like, those of us who were there for 2008, 2009 in basketball, 2002, 2003, like, yeah, we've seen this before. This is cool, but we've seen this before. If you don't necessarily have vivid memories of Mizzou football pre-2015, absolutely this is the best it has ever been. I promise you it's been this way before. Now, by the end of this year, this may go to places that it's never been. Missouri ends up in the top 12, playoff game, all that. Yes, we've never been there. So this season has the potential to get somewhere we've never been. But we have been there before. I've got to put up a comment real quick, and I need some confirmation here. Nebraska stormed the – did Nebraska really storm the field? Because, first of all, amazing that Nebraska football is at a point where they are storming the field for beating a Colorado team that went 4-8 last year. If that is true, that's the best thing I've heard all day, and it makes me incredibly happy. I don't know if that's true. I just need to I need some confirmation in the comments. I need to know if Nebraska fans storm the field, because, like, that's so beneath them, I thought. I mean, they stay in the seats and they clap for the other team that they just beat 73-0. Oh, it's been a couple years since Nebraska did that to people. Oh, they haven't been to a bowl game since 2015? Maybe they stormed the field for beating Colorado. Maybe they did. All right, let's get back on topic here. Mizzou. All right, Sham, if you got another voicemail, play me one, and then we'll get back to some other comments.
My thoughts are that this team has done exactly what it needed to do in the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks last year were pretty disappointing, and it turned out to be a great year. This year, they have outscored their opponents 89-0, and I really have nothing to complain about.
All right, so here's what I figured out, guys. Here's the problem. The voicemails have nothing to complain about, right? We'll get there. I promise we'll get there. Next week, it's possible Missouri allows a point. It's possible Missouri actually trails in a football game. We're getting there. We're not there yet, right? Yeah, and also, like, guys, I'll be honest, man. These are night games, bad opponents, over by halftime. Like, to ask people to send in energetic voicemails after those games takes a minute. Also, look, all y'all sitting here in the comments trashing the voicemailers, I don't hear your voicemail. Where are the voicemails from you guys? You guys just type it. What's happening here? So, Herbie Verstinks wants me to eat more pizza. I've got a crust left. Look, guys, it's been a minute. I had dinner at 3:45 today to come cover this game. I needed something to eat, so this is the way it goes. H880 did not leave a voicemail because he's a mute. That it's fair. Look, I'll be honest. I don't know if SpeakPipe has like not voice to text, but like type to voice. I don't know if we have that technology on the voicemail line. So I understand if you don't maybe call in. H880, also blind and deaf. I appreciate having you on our show then. Blind, deaf, and mute. I got to imagine you're not getting a hell of a lot of enjoyment out of this show, but I'm glad to have you here. See, this is the energy we need at 11:15 on a Saturday night after a 38-0 game. We need the idiocy. All right. Drew King says he just sent a voicemail. So I know it takes a minute to download and upload, but Sean, do me a favor. Play one more voicemail. Go to the SpeakPipe page. See if you can download a voicemail from Drew King. We got to get Drew's opinion on the show. All right. So I'm gonna go through. See, yeah, we've got another request for Drew's voicemail, so we will get there. Certainly. This seems like a good time to remind you guys one more time. Do we
Gabe,
have
this
one?
is Drew. I just wanted to tell you that field storming is lame as hell, and I'm willing to die on that hill. Thanks.
Drew. We've had this conversation before. I want you to remember, Drew, before you leave me voicemails in the future, that I sign your checks. And that I'm always going to be right when it comes to this conversation. And that I guess you didn't like fun when you were a college student. You're wrong here. The kids need to have fun. They've taken away Mr. Brightside. Some of them might not be old enough or have a fake ID to buy alcohol in the stadium. Give them a chance to storm the field. I just don't agree. This is Adam Norton. Adam Norton has hit it. Hang on. Okay. Drew is the get off my lawn old man. Drew, I'm 48 years old. I have a child, I think, older than you. And you have earned the reputation on our show as the cranky old man. So I don't know if you like that or don't like that. I don't know how you feel about it. But this is where we're at. I'm the cool young guy that wants everybody to storm the field, and you're the cranky old guy that wants them to stay in their seats. So anyway, that is where we are with this thing. We have reached the point of debating the energy of the voicemailers and whether or not Drew is the old man of the show. That may mean we're out of football talk. I don't know. If you guys want to talk about any more football, we can. Not a ton to break down in this game. I feel like we've done it. Missouri 2-0. Again, we kind of expect them 8th, maybe 7th tomorrow. If Oregon ends up losing, maybe 6th. I'm going to look up the Oregon score right now. Some of you guys, I think, are watching that game. I am personally not. For some reason, I have week 3. So hang on. I'm going back to week 2. Oregon and Boise tied at 20, mid-3rd. That one could go anyway. Obviously, if Oregon loses, Missouri's going to go up. Could be up to as high as 6th. If they don't, never know. But regardless, top 8 team hosting Boston College next week. And I think a ranked matchup. And the season, it starts next week. Now, let me be clear before we get into next week, my feelings on this game. Missouri should not lose this game. They absolutely should win this game. It's just the first one that there's a path to losing. Like, I could see them losing that game on the wrong day, but they shouldn't lose that game. Vandy's kind of the same way, right? Like, there are days Vandy can beat Missouri, but Vandy shouldn't beat Missouri. Come October 5th, going to Texas A&M, Missouri should be 4-0 and ranked in the top 10 minimum, maybe in the top 5, because that BC game looks a little better now. That Vandy game looks a little better now. I think it's an interesting point. Like, we've talked all about this schedule, right? Missouri will not play a team that has a loss in all likelihood until October 5th at College Station. Obviously, Murray State was unbeaten. Buffalo came in here 1-0. Boston College coming in next week 2-0. Vandy probably coming in 2 weeks 3-0. So, it's not the greatest schedule ever, but it's also not the worst schedule. And they've survived. They've more than survived. They've thrived. They've done what they should have done, right? They're not sitting here with the 16-12 win over Houston. They're not sitting here with the loss to Northern Illinois. they've done everything you could have asked them to do through the first 2 weeks of the season. And now it gets a little bit tougher. It's like we were on flat road. Now we're on like a slight incline, right? Just very slight. We're on like a 10, 12% grade. We're gonna get higher. I'm gonna throw T Rise's comment up here. Appreciate you, T Rise. The pizza's free, man. I don't pay for the pizza, so $4.99. Appreciate the super chat. I'll use it for something. I'm not going to use it for pizza. Mizzou buys us pizza. Shout out Dave Matter getting pizza for the media. Well done. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that publicly, but well done, Dave. Thank you. So we're on like we've been driving down, the flat road. And now we're going on just kind of a slight upgrade. Week 5, like that incline gets a little bit bigger. And then 2 weeks, it levels out a little bit maybe. And then Alabama, Oklahoma, then that's where you're on the real that's where you're on the kind of the stretch where it's like, all right, some people are going to quit here. Some people are just going to say they've gone far enough. If you're going to reach the summit, you got to climb this. So we're going slow build to it. But they've navigated the flat road. They've done what they should have done. Well, everybody's here. Hey, we got up over 400 tonight. Appreciate that. I know this show is going to increase viewership as the games get interesting. I appreciate that there were 400 of you guys on here at 11 o'clock at night after, frankly, what was a super boring game, right? A game we knew Missouri was going to win from the first snap. They did win. Not a lot there. But that 400 of you are willing to hang out here with me and Jarod and with Sham doing things behind the scenes, awesome. It's going to grow. It's going to get bigger starting next week. We'll be here at like 11:45 game. Shoot, we'll be starting at 4 o'clock. We go 3-4 hours next week if the audience demands, whatever. But it's going to pick up. But for it to do that, we need you guys to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. If you subscribe, you don't have to sit here and wait for me. If you subscribe, you're going to get a notification when we go live. So however long the game takes, however long interviews take, all that, you'll just get a notification. You can click on and join us as soon as we go live. So we want you to do that. But honestly, more importantly, I'm not kidding about this. More importantly, support our sponsors, man. Every year we try to make this site a little bit better for you guys. We have Sham behind the scenes as a producer for our podcast this year, right? Like we started that last year, but we're kicking it up this year with the voicemail line and with the producer, and Nathan McClellan's doing these graphics for us and social media stuff. We're going to have our videographer going on road games. We do that for 2 reasons. First of all, because you guys support us, but also because we have people that sponsor the shows and you guys help them out. So help out Yuengling, do that. Our tie to Yuengling is a poster on our board. We're going to have a tailgate with them in a couple weeks before the Vandy game. Don't mean to turn this into a long commercial at the end, but just do that. Go to any store in the state of Missouri that sells alcohol. Pick yourself up. Next time you're out, hey, maybe you just give Yuengling a shot. Try one. See how you like it. You're going to like it probably as well as what you're drinking right now. So pick it up. Bring it to the game next weekend against Boston College. Look, sometimes college football demands you start drinking at 9 a.m. So pick yourself up a 6-pack of Yuengling. Start drinking at 9 a.m. next Saturday. Appreciate you guys being here. Jarod's going to have a full notebook up shortly. I've already got videos post-game that I'm about to upload after this. I'm going to write a column. We'll have a grade card, snap counts in the morning. So appreciate all you guys being here. Thanks to Jarod for hanging out, for Sean running things behind the scenes. And we will talk to you next time right here on the PowerMizzou.com podcast and the Yuengling post-game live show. See ya.